Yeah.
Smart. Okay, good job. Okay. So welcome back to Mom Sips and Tips, and we're here to give you mom tips and sip on our Moscow mules.
I'm Maggie.
I'm Julia.
Glad you're here.
Yes, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about weaning, because I just did it,
Yeah.
and it was hard.
So I know that it was kind of a conundrum, for lack of a better word for you, where it's like, you know, on one hand you wanted to do it because there have been things that you haven't been able to do while you've been breastfeeding that you've wanted to do, and then the other side is giving up that relationship that only you have with Bob.
Yeah, it was really hard. In my breastfeeding journey in general, I feel like, at least the beginning, well, the whole first year, it was hard. I felt so conflicted about stopping because I was like, he's so happy and he gets all his his nutrition, and it's so easy to calm him if he's upset. So I was like, well, maybe I should just keep going. But I really did feel like he was getting to a point of where all his feeds except for one, he was just kind of like fidgeting around for like a minute or two, and then he was done. He wasn't really actually drinking. Like you can hear, and he wasn't actually like swallowing and doing like what he did when he was little. And there were certain things that I wanted to do as far as like just for me, it's different now that he's a little bit older, because when he was younger, the time constraint about me being able to do anything really bothered me, because I am admittedly very selfish with my time, which I've gotten a little bit better about. It's just who I am. I'm not even going to deny that I am selfish about it. So that was something that was hard for me, but I forgot what I was saying. So
Things that you wanted,
mom brain,
things that you maybe wanted to do that you couldn't do, and just kind of the struggle of like, you want to, you don't want to.
I just wanted a lot of it was the freedom for me, and I think that might be the wild, fiery Sagittarius that I am. Is I just didn't want, not that I didn't, like I said, I loved it because I loved the attachment and that only I could give that to him. But I was ready to be done. And then when I hit the 2-year mark, and like I said, I felt so proud of that I really got to a point where I was like, okay, I think this is enough for me. And I feel like the only feed that he was really like actually getting like the most milk was his early morning one. And I was like, you know what? No time like the present. So the time that I decided to actually wean, we only had 2 feeds left. It was the nighttime and the morning time. So I dropped the nighttime first. It's a girlfriend had given me some good advice. She said that one was a little bit easier. And she was right. It was easier, at least for us. I know every baby's different, so it may not be with your baby. But I was shocked, and I don't know why, because hormones play into everything in your body as far as with pregnancy, having your baby, and after the baby. I was shocked at how badly it affected me. My skin, when I say it broke out, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being like that girl that's like, oh, I have one sit, don't I look terrible? No. I had like full on pizza face. Like I actually skipped doing a couple of things because it looked so bad to me. And I went and got like a facial and got like half my face burned off in a good way. But that surprised me because I thought I was just going to get like a couple like hormonally, like kind of what you get on your period. And don't normally, like I'll get little things here and there, but I don't break out like that. So I was like, and I didn't want anyone to see me, even my husband. I was like, oh God. He's not gonna, don't look at me, I'm ugly, I'm haggard. But he doesn't really care. And I'm trying to think what else.
Did you have like night sweats or anything like that?
Oh, yes. And I would literally just be sitting there and I wouldn't be hot. My armpits would just start dripping in sweat, like disgusting, like not just a little bit. And that kind of shocked and embarrassed me a little bit. Like, thank God I stay at home, because it was just like a faucet turned on and it couldn't turn off. And I was like, and the other thing, which I don't think is talked enough about, is I stunk. Like I had the worst BO, and it was akin to right after I had my son that I had the worst armpit smell ever.
I remember that bothering you.
Oh my God, it smelled so, and it didn't matter how much deodorant I put on. And I'm normally like, I'm crunchy, so I just do like the deodorant. I don't do antiperspirant, and I considered going back because I was like, God, this is woo, I stink. But then you told me that, or I don't know if I read or something, I can't remember, but that you're supposed to smell like this so that your child smells you, which is not good for anybody else. But I mean, I smelled, and I do jujitsu a couple of times a week, and I would roll, and I was like, I mean, and you normally stink after exercising like that. It was so bad. Yeah.
I'm picturing you apologizing for it.
Oh, I totally did. So one of the other girls there, her name's Sarah, and I'd be like, we would just get finished, and I'd be like, and she'd be like, do I smell? And I was like, oh no, it's me, and I'm sorry. And she would just laugh. I mean, she's got 3 kids, and her son she's 2.5, so she understands. And I talked to her about it. I said, I didn't know that this happened when you weaned. Like, I just didn't even think about it. And she was like, oh, yeah. And she told me, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay. I have a habit of doing that. I'm trying not to interrupt people so much. But she also told me, she's like, well, I had a day of terrible depression. Did you have that? And I was like, yes. Why does nobody tell me that? I had a day where I was just so sad. And I laid in the bed. Like, my husband had to watch my son because I was so sad and I didn't feel, well, and I also physically didn't, like, I felt a little ill, which I don't know if that's related or not, but I was so depressed, I was just like, maybe it's time to go see my therapist again. And I was like, well, I'm going to give this till tomorrow and see how I feel. PMS. Oh, on another level. And my outbursts, too, like, my husband would be just asking me something, I'd be like, what did you say? And he was like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, nothing. I don't know.
Did your cycle shift at all? Some women...
It didn't shift, but it was unbelievably heavy. Like, I felt like someone was murdered in my pants. It was so bad. I was like... And I've never had that either, with the exception of a little bit. Like, when my first one came, it was a little heavier.
Right.
But this was worse. And I had, like, the worst cramps I've ever had, and I'm not normally like a cramper.
Right.
And
cramper, you wouldn't think that 2 feedings would be that big of a difference. And for some it's not. For some it's not, but for some it really is. It
was terrible for me. And I'm still a little sweaty. I'm still a tiny bit stinky. I'm better than what I was. But I mean, I know.
I don't smell it.
It's been like 2 or 3 weeks now, I think. So I think it's getting a little bit better day by day. And I started, I'm real big into like homeopathies and stuff like that. So I took some Bach flowers in my water, and I did have a tincture made from my placenta. Maggie did that. And when I realized how intensely mean I was getting, and I could tell it was hormonal, I put some of that in my water too, and that really helped. Like, I had like a big jug, and I did like 3 servings in it, and I was like, "You gonna drink that all day, girl?"
Of the placenta tincture.
I was like, "You need that. You need that a lot." And I also did it's called a female homeopathy as well. And that, I felt like the combination of those really kind of helped even me out to where I felt like I wasn't like the devil. So.
What were some of the emotional struggles that you went through with weaning? You know, you want to do it, but you don't want to do it. You know, I'm thinking of like the selfish side of even me is like, only I can provide this for my child, and I get this time, and he wants to snuggle with me still. And how did that change?
Well, initially it didn't, because he still wanted to do it, and then that morning feed was the harder of the 2, and he still wanted to. But now I can tell, like, not that he's still super loving and a little clingy with me, but it's not the same. It's definitely not the same. He's not, you know, like where he'd get upset to where he would just run to me, and now he'll be like, Dada, and I'm like, Mama, love me. And he just doesn't, you know, which is fine. You know, I want him to grow, and I want him to also be attached, you know, to my husband.
But there is that.
But I do get jealous,
sadness.
And I get sad about it. Yeah, that does. And I felt guilty too in the way that I was giving him like pretty much all his nutritional needs, and now I'm like, I don't want to say I was lazy with this food, because I've always been, you know, I'm a really pretty healthy eater, and I try and kind of keep him on the same track. And I feel like now it's more pressure on me. I'm like, oh, eat your vegetables, and you need to have this and this and this, because whereas before it's like almost, not that it's supplementing, but which is kind of the opposite of what it is, but but I was like, oh, this is really important now. And I was like, am I really ready to give this up? Like he has everything that he needs. And,
Right.
and then it just made me feel bad because I've just felt what we were saying. I was like, well, maybe I should just keep going. Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't want him to be upset. I didn't want him to feel like I was taking something away from him. And that's one of the reasons that I went so long too, is I was like, well, I'm just going to wait till he self-weans, because I had lots of friends and my sister's baby did that. And I was just expecting that one day he would start to get kind of bored and not be that interested. And he just wasn't that way. I think if I let him, he would be on the boob till he was, 7 or 8. He is into it. But, which is fine.
Yeah, and this isn't to downplay like how bottle feeding moms feel. This is more about like the realities of weaning, the hormones, the emotions that go into breastfeeding, and then quitting.
Yeah. It's
the
hard.
connection.
Yeah.
That you had.
Yeah. And that is one of the things that makes me the saddest, is just kind of that little special time that was just ours, even though I resented it at the same time.
Yep.
But oddly enough, there's that was really kind of difficult. And I still struggle with that. I still wonder, I'm like, oh, I still have time. I could bring it back. But I'm like, I'm done with it. I feel, even though I'm conflicted about it, I feel good enough about it within myself that I know that it was the right decision for him and for me. So,
Yeah. He seems to be doing great.
yeah, he's a little stinker. He's totally fine. And he drinks almond milk like a champ. So
How has breastfeeding or weaning affected anything else in your family life, or
I feel like it
has it given you more freedom?
it has definitely given me more freedom. I just feel freer. I don't know if that sounds silly or not. Like I just feel, I'm like, oh no, I don't have that on me. That made me feel better. Obviously I don't have if something's wrong, I have, my husband or my mom or someone be like, oh, we'll just go feed him. It'll be fine. And I'm like, you go feed him. Take your teat out. I don't want to do it. So, some of that resentment that I had that came along with that, I feel like is now gone. And I know we talked about that in our very first video, is that this is probably a little childish. I don't know why I felt this way, but I felt resentful with my husband, because I was like, well, I'm feeding him all day for hours on end. Like, which I said, as he got older, obviously it got less, but I felt like it wasn't even.
Right.
I know, which, like I said, that's probably
You were giving more.
Yeah, I felt like I was doing more. And especially as he got older, because when he was really young, he was like, would change all his diapers and do all that. So I felt like it was even. And as he got older and that kind of stopped, and and that novelty of changing all the diapers, who actually likes to change diapers that much?
Especially a toddler that's
Yeah.
eating meat.
Oh yeah, and he's like a rabid crocodile too, rolling around, and there's poop everywhere. That novelty wore off for him, so he didn't want to do every diaper change. And I was like, well, you can't. I'm doing every feeding, like you, please, please. So that resentment, I feel like, is gone. And even though I know that that's kind of an irrational and not fair thought to put on somebody else, I still felt that way.
Yeah.
As much as and I still try, I'm like, don't be this way, but I just can't help it. I think that kind of goes back to, I'm inherently a little selfish with my time in certain things.
I felt the same way.
Oh, really?
I
Okay,
think
God,
a lot of people feel that way. It's that struggle of, oh, I love this time, but it's like, I'm the only one that can do this.
Yeah.
And I have
It's
to
a
do
lot
it
of
for all the
pressure.
naps and all the
Yeah.
bedtimes and all, everything. And you feel like you're tied down sometimes.
Oh, for sure. 100%. It's so hard.
But now
Now I'm free, and I got Botox and fillers. That's another thing that I selfishly wanted to do. So I did that before I got pregnant for
Right.
like several years, because I just like keeping it fresh. And
but there was some, there's medical things also that sometimes, I'm thinking of a friend right now that they have to put things off because of the medications that are involved with procedures. So,
Yeah.
and they have to breastfeed, or they are still breastfeeding by choice and can't because of what's involved with the procedures.
yeah, so actually I had a lot of dental work done, and there was certain things that I wasn't allowed to have because I was breastfeeding. I had to do you have to do certain antibiotics, and they had to give me all these medications, and I had to do like a steroid, which I will never do again, because it made my son so hyper and me so hyper. Like I couldn't sleep. But there were certain things that I couldn't have as far as different anesthetic stuff that they normally would do to make you more comfortable, and I was fully aware for more things. So that wasn't fun for me.
Right.
And I also, so I have had a previous back injury, and I have a lot of still back pain because I have like really flexible ligaments, which not everybody has, but some people do. And because when you're still breastfeeding, you're still making relaxin, kind of like when you're pregnant. So all my ligaments and joints are like that.
And hurting.
Yeah. So everything hurts. And a lot of times, like in my back, because if I bend over too far, because I'm so flexible, my muscles will be like, come back this way. And I'd be like, ah. So I've tried like everything you could ever do. And I wanted to look for a more natural option, so I wanted to try like a low THC oil, and I didn't want to do it when I was breastfeeding, because it's not, there's not enough studies. I'm not saying it's good or bad or here or there, but that's something that I really wanted to try, because I was like, I don't want to have to take so much ibuprofen, and I don't want to take pain pills, because that just masks the pain. It doesn't actually help anything. So that's something that I really wanted to look into, but I was too scared because you don't know, everything's you don't know, because they're not going to study stuff when you're pregnant or breastfeeding, because it's not ethical. But so that
and
was
again,
something
disclaimer,
else.
we're not bashing, the limitations of breastfeeding. It's more normalizing how you felt and how I felt and how some of the emotions and feelings and thoughts that go into breastfeeding and weaning and all that stuff.
And I feel like, not everybody feels the way that we did, but I do feel like that there are women that I've met that weren't so forthcoming about that, because it's just not, I don't want to say a faux pas to talk about, but like what you talked about again, like kind of martyring yourself, like, oh, it's fine, you can do it. But I feel like we should be able to talk about it, and like you said, so you don't feel weird about it.
Mom guilt, mom shame, and all that.
Yeah, all the
other
things
that
put
go
together.
If you're not on the right side of whatever the the hashtag is today.
Yeah, and I think it's also a little different, which I don't know. Maybe you can tell me from living in California. I feel like the South is a little different too, as far as, it's just in a good. I love living here. I love the South. But I feel like at least where we're at, I'm trying to figure out the best way to word this.
More conservative?
Much more conservative. And, very much, you're the woman and you can do this, and just don't talk about it. And I'm just not built that way. Just not. And I always want to ask questions, and I feel like we should be free to talk about those things. And like I said, I'm not going to stereotype everywhere in the South. Every place is not like that, but I feel like where we are, there is still some of that left. Still very old Southern.
Where in California we just whip it out.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna breastfeed out here and everything's fine. Yeah, no, we don't have. I'm totally fine. Like, I'm comfortable with that. It doesn't bother me, but I do feel even in public covered up, where I still get some. Oh, not now. Obviously, I'm done. But where I would still get some stares. Oh, yes. And it's different. Like, I've had kids that would be like, "Mommy, what is she doing?" And you're like, "Nothing." Which that's weird too. Like, I shouldn't feel that way. It's a perfectly natural thing. You're feeding your child.
Hashtag normalize breastfeeding.
Yes, that's a whole nother video. Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I think that's it. I think really the stink was the worst part.
All right.
Besides the bad depression, but whatever. So, well, thanks for joining us again today. And if you have anything else that y'all want us to talk about, any topics or you just want to talk in the comments, then put it down below, unless it's mean, and then we'll delete you, and then you can't watch any more of our videos, and that's a shame for you. So you should like and subscribe as well. So we'll see y'all later.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yes. Bam.